and it's going to continue to fall. Because, if you travel to Mexico, you run into all kinds of people who speak English. They say, oh, yeah, I just lived the last 15 years in San Francisco. There were no jobs for many anymore, so I sold my house and collected my money and went home.
Right.
It must not make the Mexican president very happy, though. He's not getting the revenues into his country then.
Right.
What do you think they're
You're
going
right.
to do to supplement those revenues coming into Mexico if the U.S. is not going to support their workers?
That's right, and it's hard for them to do. I think what the Mexican government should be doing is they have $92 billion in foreign exchange and gold. They've been buying gold, incidentally, recently,
right?
And which is rather surprising because of the relationship with Washington. And their foreign exchange is about $22 billion in U.S. dollars. And what they should do is take the $22 billion and start a deep drilling program in the Gulf and other places along the Atlantic, and go into some of these very, very deep well areas because they know the oil's there. It's a question of going and getting it. And I think it costs about $35 billion to do it, but $22 billion would be a great start. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to raise taxes, and there's a lot of things that they're going to have to do. Most people don't realize that Mexico, with the exception of a few shortcomings, is as modern a society as America. The difference is that the wealthy have their money offshore, and the money that's offshore never goes into the economy of Mexico, so they are not creating jobs. I mean, the average family has 2 or 3 children now, right? A little bit more than what Americans and Europeans have, but you don't see those big families anymore. In fact, you don't see them anywhere in Latin America practically. Mm-hmm. And so things have changed dramatically. And I think they could do quite well if they start putting some holes in the ground under the water.
Right.
They have a lot of gold mines in Mexico also, don't they, Bob? I mean, they mine their own gold down there, and copper and a lot of other minerals there.
Second largest producer of silver in the world, and they're one of the higher gold producers. They're very, very amenable to mining. And the structure within the ministries is pretty good. There's not much graft. Most of the graft that you see at the top of the political parties in Congress, to an extent, and particularly among the police and the military, they like to run their own little kingdoms. But it's just a different type of stealing. In America, the whole educated class that controls the wealth of the country, they're all crooks.
Right.
So, it's no worse in Mexico than it is the United States or Argentina or Chile or Spain or whatever. I mean, in fact, one of the things that took down Greece to the situation that's in today is phenomenal graft. Uh-huh. And that's one of their major problems. So every country has the same problems in a slightly different way. And that's because most governments historically and presently have been corrupt. And then there's people like you and I and others like us who are like Don Quixote de la Mancha. And, we're kind of swinging our arms like windmills out there. Right. And sometimes we win, And we had a revolution that only 5% of the people participated in, we won.
Right.
So it's very possible.
Our arms, it's more like we're trying to dive up from the water covering our nose right now. So.
Yeah, Don Quixote is quite a classic, and Cervantes was a very, very brilliant and insightful man.